Alright, we're going to do things a little bit differently today because I usually like to talk about the qualities of a weapon that make it good, or why you might be interested in it, or, obviously how you want to perk the thing, and we will be talking about the perks in today's video. But I decided to take a different approach because the Midnight Stalker is by far one of the worst weapons I've tried in a while, and I actually reviewed the Crescendo recently, so that's actually saying something. Unfortunately, snipers have a pretty bad streak in this game because it's a slow-firing, high-powered weapon that can usually only take out one enemy at a time, and that's not really helpful in Fortnite. Very often you're dealing with crowds of enemies, and while mist monsters and smashers exist, typically a high-powered SMG, AR, shotgun, even a fast-firing pistol is more effective than a sniper against those bigger targets. Now, in the lower zones, I used a spyglass all the way through up to Canny and even early Twine because it had an insane headshot multiplier and could easily one-tap any mist monster that I shot at that wasn't, a smasher or something. But the Midnight Stalker has all of the traits of a sniper, except for the fact that it shoots 2 bullets at a time, besides the fact that it also doesn't really do that much damage when it does shoot. So let's talk about where this weapon falls short. That's it, damage. I don't really know what else to say about it. It has a pretty good reload speed, and okay fire rate if it did a great amount of damage, and the fact that it shoots 2 shots at a time is great and all, but it definitely doesn't save this weapon. So no, I'm long past the days of my Nailer video where I just recycled it. I want to explain why a weapon is bad, and that's kind of it. If you're somebody who searched this video and were curious about the Midnight Stalker and you were wondering why nobody ever uses it, that's kind of it. Now, sitting in this lobby, I can already show you that there are ways to make this weapon viable. It's doing about 100,000 damage with a headshot, and it does shoot 2 rounds at a time. So that's an easy, 200k, just like that. And that's not that bad. In the end game, it is really bad because I was just hovering over the Black Drum, which does about 47,000 in the headshot. This is a shotgun. It shoots quite a bit faster and kind of hits multiple enemies at once and is just great for crowd clearing. The Black Drum, I finally leveled up my copy that does bonus damage to nature enemies, and this thing is as good as it ever was, but it's even better against nature enemies now, and it doesn't hurt you, which makes it basically a normal shotgun, and I love this thing. I love it all over again, and if this thing crits, it's doing a whole heck of a lot more than that sniper is, and it's a shotgun. Now, I understand that the sniper has range, where is it in here? 10,000? That's basically the map. I mean, that's basically wherever you want to shoot, it's going to hit. It's not across the map literally, but it's plenty far enough to be, tapping enemies from far away. And that can make it viable if you're just trying to be lazy from a distance, but you've got better options. Like I mentioned, the Spyglass or the old Betsy or the Obliterator, or those are basically the important ones. You can use a bow for any of the bows for that kind of job. I don't really see where the Midnight Stalker is useful. So we're going to be quick on the perks. Now, if you're using this specifically for mist monsters, physical is okay. Most of them aren't going to be elemental, and like I said, if they are elemental, which smashers and mini bosses can be, you're more likely going to be better off using a higher sustained damage weapon like an SMG, an LMG, or a shotgun, something like that. A sniper is not really something you want to unload into those bigger enemies. And the 6th perk also matters. Any of the ones that damage you are fine. It's okay for crowd clearing. It's not great. If you're going to give this to a defender, which is not a bad idea, then you don't want them to be hurting themselves. So honestly, the damage to nature is like the only way that I would ever power this weapon up. This is an old copy. I just leveled it up because the weapon was new, okay? That's all I'm saying, all right? Huge thanks to Tompus and Flo from the Discord for dropping me the copies that I showcased today. I can actually head to my backpack right now. They did drop me a few copies so I could test this thing and all of its different capabilities. So we got one with the eliminating 3 enemies damages you, and then we got a couple that are damage to nature. I didn't really think it mattered too much if the nature one was headshot or crit. I kind of wanted to just test it in all of its, capabilities, and what I came up with is this. If you're using this for mist monsters, which is basically the only time you're ever going to use this thing has no crowd clearing capabilities, then double headshot physical is probably your best route. And for the 6th perk, I would prefer the damage to nature, but if you're using this against mist monsters, it doesn't really matter anymore. I would recommend fire rate instead of the reload perk, and instead of the bonus damage based on your missing health, that is where you should put your reload perk. Or if you want to maximize just the damage to mist monsters and you're kind of okay with a slower fire rate, you can do the damage to mist monsters and leave the reload right where it is. As for the crit build, it's kind of the same story as the headshot because it will crit to do a lot of extra damage, and that's great and all, but the headshot damage, assuming you can hit your shots, is going to be a lot more consistent damage rather than just kind of hoping for a crit. It will happen fairly often because with a 15% base crit chance, you're going to be up to a 43%, and that's pretty high. That's pretty good. You're going to be critting almost every other shot, so it's not bad. You can do crit rating double crit damage on this thing. I wouldn't recommend it. You can do crit rating double crit damage and then put a reload even, and that works, but again, you're going to be kind of hoping for crits, and it's only going to be useful when you do crit. And for a weapon that's already pretty underpowered, you're going to need as much help as you can get. So yeah, obviously if I max this thing out, that headshot's going to be doing a lot more damage, but there's not really any way that I can totally see to make this thing work. So yeah, fire if you're going to be using it against everything, but again, that doesn't really make sense. And then physical if you're going to be using it against mist monsters. Double headshot I think is more consistent. Obviously, if you can't hit headshots, not everybody's exactly a marksman, then crit and crit damage would be fine. It's got a pretty decent crit chance and crit damage, so you're going to be all right there. And as I said, that 5th perk down there can totally be something different if you want to swap up that 2nd perk and make it your own. So I do think fire rate goes a long way on this weapon. It has a very, very, very slow fire rate, and without that perk, it was so tough to use this that I just didn't even record any more gameplay. So if this video has a lot more menu footage than any of my other recent best perks videos, now you understand why. I will get back to the normal flow of things with a different weapon, because this weapon is kind of a case study for me. It's not just a, hey, check out this weapon and all of its, glory. It's more of a, here's what went wrong and why. Because Epic did a good job with some of these other weapons. I mean, Black Drum's really, really strong. The Blackout AR is pretty good. It looks like a pistol. A lot of people make that mistake. I did when I first got it. But for the Midnight Stalker, they honestly, they took a break on this one. But I'm saying, if they just literally just doubled its damage, and that's okay. It's a freaking sniper, you guys. It's like they wanted it to be more of a DMR, but the fire rate's too slow for that. So either up the fire rate and let me use this thing like a pseudo AR, or up the damage and let me use it like a proper sniper. Knowing Epic, they'll probably do neither, because typically when they release a weapon, that's it. The only weapon that I ever remember that got like a specific nerf was the Storm King's Wrath for just doing way too much damage. And you know what? As I'm recording this, there was one specific weapon that also got a nerf that I'm going to probably remember as soon as I'm done recording. I'll pin a comment if I remember it. It was the Jabberwocky. That's the one that I was talking about. That video will be linked below. Also, so will the Black Drum. I never plugged it at any point, and also all of the other black metal weapons, and I'll update that list as we continue. And, just so it's not such a negative video, the Ghost Pistol, which is something I should be covering in the future, actually got a massive buff, like, outside of all the other weapons. So, I mean, it's not all bad. Sometimes the weapons get better. I do know that lots of weapons in this game got a rebalance with the 12.0 update. Obviously, I'm aware of that. I'm aware that lots of things get tweaked here and there, but it's pretty rare that Epic dials in on a single weapon. So maybe the Midnight Stalker will get better someday. I doubt it. If it does, I'll let you know, but it's currently available from the Fortnite llamas. So if you guys want to speedrun those llamas, get a bunch of tickets, maybe get a ton of Midnight Stalkers so you can recycle and get your weapon designs up, I'll link my speedrun guide for that in the description below. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you guys want to support the channel, feel free to use code Mista to check out. Become a channel member here. You can use those emotes in the comments now, so that's pretty cute. If you guys want to check out the streams, I do those on Twitch now, so follow with the link in the description below. Hope you guys have a nice day, and thanks for watching. And then